Hi all, welcome to Racsinfotech. In this video, I'm going to show you how to enable database vault. Okay, how to configure and enable the database vault in Oracle 19c database. That way it is in multi-tenant architecture. Okay, in multi-tenant architecture, we used to have the CDB and PDB model. Okay, so first, if you want to enable the database vault, prerequisite is you should have to enable the database vault in CDB first, then you have to enable on PDB. So let me explain the high level steps, how to configure and enable the DB vault in CDB root. Why we need to enable, what is database vault? I'm going to make it another video. You can watch that video separately. Okay, now in this video, you can see how to do that. So for that, we need to first verify whether your database CDB level or PDB level, whether the DB vault configuration is done or not. It is enabled or not. I'll show you that also. After that, we need to create, okay? We need to create two users, one for the DB vault manager, another for the account head of DB vault related things. How to create those things, I'll show you that as well. And another thing, after you created that users, we need to log into our one of the common user, that is for database vault manager user. And then we need to configure the database vault in CDB root. Okay, after you configured, you have to check whether you have any invalids are there. We need to compile. It is the best practice to do it after you enable the DB vault, compile the invalid objects if anything. That also I'm going to show you. Next thing, we need to connect. This will configure the database vault and this will enable the database vault script. Once you enable the database vault where you have connected to the user which we have created, out of two users, one user is related to your owner, okay, database DB vault owner user. To that you have to connect and then execute the DB vault configuration. Enablement. Once you did this, we need to do the bounce to reflect the changes. After that, we can re-verify whether the label security is enabled or not. I'll show you that as well. So very simple and straightforward. It is like it is you have to do it your own on your non-production environments or POC environment before going to next thing. It is working in my environment. It is not recommendations or suggested steps. It is just a kind of POC which I am going to show you. Next one, how to configure and enable the DB vault in pluggable database. In our previous slide, I showed you how to enable in CDB level. If somebody will raise a question, can I enable or configure database vault in my PDB without enabling on CDB? No, you have to have enable the CDB root first, then only you can enable in PDB level. Okay, the same scenarios, how we need to connect to our PDB, verify there also, and then replicate some kind of data in your pluggable database. We used to have certain kind of dummy schemas, dummy information in our database. As part of our database software installation, we will get all these schemas. Okay, I'll show you where we will get this dummy information. Then we need to create and configure the database vault directly. So only one step is not needed here is creating the users. If you are aware of that multi-tenant architecture and what is the use of common user, so you can understand it. For high level thing, we can use the common users where we have created as part of our CDB root enablement, the same manager owner user, DB vault owner user, we can use it. Okay, don't use sys or any other users to configure your database vault. It is not recommended. Okay, you have to create separately two users and then those two users or one user you can use it as a owner of your DB wallet. Another user you can add it or make it as an account head or something like that. Okay. Now connect to database vault owner user and configure, enable the DB vault. Once you enable, so we need to do two steps. One is for configuration, another one is enable. Okay, two steps we need to execute. After that, you need to bounce your pluggable database to reflect the DB vault changes in your PDB level. And then we will check whether the label security and database vault is configured and enabled or not. Okay, this is the high level theory part, guys. We will jump into the lab and then I'll show you how to execute these steps. Okay, let me go to my document. So step one, let me connect to my DB. So this is my database 19C. Let me check whether it is running or not. Yes, it is. And yeah, SQL plus. Okay, first what we need to check, verify the label security, whether those are enabled or not. Why we need to use these two scenarios? Like just if you are going to use the command, you may not get properly the columns adjustment. Okay, this will show you. So if you want to do this columns adjustment, you can use the status column, call status format around 20 characters is fine. Now check. Yes. So DB configuration status is false and the DB data vault. Okay, data vault configuration is not enabled and not configured and not enabled. So we need to enable. Once you enable, the status is going to change it to true from false to true. Now you can check label is enabled or not. Okay, data vault label is enabled or not. We can use this command. Let me call column name format a, how many, it could be 35 characters, let it be. Yep. So this is the way how we are going to check. As of now, our label configuration is false. It is not configured, and label config Oracle label configuration service or security is not enabled. So OLS needs to be true, and this value also true. Here we will get it. It is enabled. Okay. Why? I mean, how we are going to get to know means if you configured this thing, DB configuration thing, then we are going to get that information. Okay, if it is true means label is going to enable it. Okay, these two things, and then so it is not enabled. So we need to enable that as well, right? So now what is the prerequisite? We need to create two users, one for database vault user, like our owner user, OWN here, owner user, another for account manager user. Okay. Any users, if you want to create later on, you can use this account user and then you can create under this DB vault. Okay, that is separate part. So let me use this directly. You can use grant command or you can use the create session as well. It is going to create it. So I'm going to use common user. Everyone knows prefix is C ##. And this is for my database vault owner and root. This is account manager, ACC manager, and the password I'm going to. So container equal to all means all the pluggable data. That's where we are not going to create these users in our pluggable databases. So I'm going to create session, set container. Yep, that's okay. So whether check con underscore now, I have connected to my CDB root. So I'm going to create a user here. Okay. Grant succeeded. Automatically the user is also going to create it. Next one. So I have created two users, C ## dev owner one and the account manager. If you want to configure, you have to connect to this user. Okay, this user. Let me, yeah, I'll do one by one. Then we need to configure the database vault. So in CDB root. So we have to connect it to root admin user, that is C #DB owner.root user. And then we need to execute this step. This step is going to do it is going to make it DB owner username, it is going to read, and account manager username, it is going to update, and it is going to change the status to enable it. Let me execute it. So if you want to execute, where we need to connect it to database vault owner user. As of now, which user I have connected? Show user. Don't execute any steps under sys user. Okay, only create the user, that's fine, but you should not use this user to execute these scripts. Okay, you have to connect to this user. Connect. slash and the password. Now I have connected show user. So I have connected to my DB Vault owner root. Okay. Here we need to execute those steps. This step. What is going this line number 2 column identifier and configure underscore DB must be declared. Okay. Okay. Let me make it this. It's clearly mentioning we need to declare it. I haven't declared. Okay, first we need to declare that and then we can execute the step. So this one we need to do first. Means what is the username, both the usernames, and then we need to execute this step. Without a declaration, must be declared, right? Execute dbv account is root dbc hash as dbv owner dot root c hash as dbv owner one this one show user. Okay, dbv is my owner name. Configure dev is not declared. So let me do one thing. Exit SQL plus show user. Declaration part, we will do it from this part. Okay. Declaration. Let me execute it here. Declaration I'm doing from sys user level. Once this is done, then we need to connect it to that user. The configuration needs to be done from that user. Okay. That's where the main difference of configuration and the declaration thing. Okay. Now we need to do quick bounce also. Let me check this. We will check the status now. What is the status for this? Let me take the select query. What we have executed here. See here it is, both are in as of now. It's a configuration status is true, but enable is not there. As of now, we have configuration status true. Okay, that is fine. So next, we can execute if any in compilation like invalid objects are there or not, we need to compile it. Then we can enable it. Okay, let me check. Select count start from dba underscore objects where status equal to invalid. We have 68 objects is there. Try to compile Oracle home rdbms admin uglrp.sql. And after executing, we will check the count as well one more time. Let it execute the compilations. Yep, done. Check the invalid now, 0 invalids. So invalid count is 0 now. Let me check the status again of these two. As of now, we just did the configure, not the enablement. Let me use this. This is okay. And so as of now, configuration is there for true option. Earlier, we don't have this option. Now we need to do the enablement. And the DB enablement status also we can check by using this command. Let me execute this. See the data vault configuration status true. Earlier it is a false. Now DB enable status should be true. For that, for this step, we need to connect it to the root user. Earlier we connected with the root owner user, right? So now we need to connect, not from this. First, we need to declare it from here using sys user, but the configure enablement should be done from the owner user. Let me connect it to that owner and then we'll execute the enablement. Okay, connect it to this user. Okay, show user. Now I have connected. Now you can execute enablement script. So let me do this, not required. Run the configuration from sys user. Okay, compilation is done. Now this we need to run from this user. Below step, execute. This will enable the database vault. Done. Now we need to check the status. Let me set the column call status format A20 call description format A35. Let me execute this. DB enablement we have executed. Status what is showing? False. Okay. As I said, we need to do the bounds to reflect the changes. Okay. Let me do the bounds of our instance. OLS also I'll check. Where we have enabled this, we need to use, okay, from sys dot, this one we need to give. Still, tabular view does not exist. Okay, this from that sys user, we need to execute this. It is not able to read it from here, but this is having DB vault status. We are able to see this thing, right? We have executed, right? From the sys user, it is having. So let me connect it to our sys user or alt session. Whether it will allow or not, I don't know. Let me execute it. And shut immediate. And then we will restart it and we will check the status of the database vault on CDB level. So there is no straightforward steps to enable it. Before that, you have to take a proper backups of your database and all that schemas. Database bounce will take time. Done. Startup. STA. Startup. Let me take this column status, right? Let it to be. I'll copy paste it here to check the status. It is better, no need to execute every time. Call description. Then we'll execute one by one. We can execute these two directly. Yes. So here you can see it now clearly. Database vault configuration is true and database configuration is enabled true. And OLS configuration is true and it is enabled true. Earlier it is not enabled, right? So we have enabled in container level. Show con underscore name container CDB root level. The same thing if you want to enable in our pluggable database, we have to check our pluggable database. Pluggable database PDB open. Okay. Connected to your pluggable database. Alter session set container equal to PDB. Show container name PDB. Okay, the same queries which we have executed, right? We can execute it. Okay, we can execute it here and we will see it in container level. So in container, pluggable database level, not the container, both are false. We need to enable this, and the labels also we need to enable. Okay, as of now, these two are false. So if you want to enable, we will follow our document, right? So connected to this, and we have checked the status also. Now, as I said, right, we will create some kind of schema, dummy data in your pluggable database level that we can do it. It is not like a mandatory thing. If you want to do it, you can do, else that's not an issue. So these are all the where it is. Let me exit from here. LSNRCTL start listener service. Okay. What I want to show you is the schemas. Okay. These are your dummy schemas where we can use it for our practical purpose. Like if anyone to do that, any dummy schemas without creating anything and all, we cannot do it, right? The data, dumb, empty data and all, it is required to do your practice. Okay, you can use the HR main .SQL script and create it. It's a as part of your software, it is going to it is going to this information will get it. Status listener support no service, that's okay, let it be. Just now started, let it start this listener. Listener status, yes, service is running. Now I want to connect to pluggable database, right? And then I need to execute this remaining steps where I need to. If you want to create this under PDB, you have to do this. Let me connect it to my PDB directly. Okay, SQL plus. If you want to use this user, you can use it. Else, I'll do one thing. PWD ls SQL plus as directly. Also, you can connect by using the sysuser itself. You need to provide the sysuser password, IP port, then CDB role privilege. Else, you can use this way: alter session set container equal to PDB. Okay, from here you can execute HR main schemas one. This will ask you the parameter where you want to provide the password. Okay, for your parameter, I'll give you password. Welcome 321, and the table space where this needs to users table space, and the temporary is my temp table space, and the log path I'll give you my temp location. So it is going to create all this dummy data. It is going to pull it into your table spaces. Yeah, done. Now what? This is just you want to select whether you have any kind of information or any kind of data is there or not in your system. So it is going to create dummy information 107 rows. That's okay. Now we don't need to create any users to configure your database vault. Just you can use the define or set this DB vault owner and account manager. That script you need to execute it, and then you need to configure it by using this command to configure that. Okay, let me execute this. We already configured. Either you can use this command or the direct execution command which we have executed in a previous session. That is also fine. Okay, yes, I have defined it. Now we need to connect it to DB vault owner username, right? That we have used earlier to connect it. Let me use that. Okay, let me use DB connect. 1 second, I want to take it to Notepad and then I'll copy paste it. Here only we have executed this one. Let me paste this connectivity. Either you can use from SQL developer directly or from here also you can use, but you have to give your service name. Okay. So we are going to connect with our pluggable database level, not in this user. We are going to connect in pluggable database level. If you want to connect, you have to give the service name according to that. Okay. Show user. So I have connected to see dev level, and we are going to execute the configuration step. That is this one. Enabling this. Yes, we have enabled it. Now we are going to connect with, connect with your pluggable database, alter session set container equal to CDB $root. So it doesn't, else you can use this way as CDB. Okay. Show PDBs, alter. We need to bounce the pluggable database to reflect the changes. Okay. Alter pluggable database PDB. Else I'll show you first and then I'll alter session set container PDB. We will check the status of whether it is enabled or not. Let me execute these two steps. See, now it is showing OLS. This one is true. Configuration is true. Okay. And this was not enabled. And here you see here you can DV enable status is false. If you can bounce the pluggable database, okay, then only it is going to enable it. This part, DV enable status fault. Okay. Alter session set. Or else you can use here only. Shut immediate also you can use from this immediate. From your pluggable database, if you want to shut down, you can use shut immediate and start up from your pluggable database session level. Okay. Now I have started up my pluggable database. Now let me execute the same script. Let me check my DB vault status now. Yes, it is. It is in pluggable database level. Show con underscore name. Pluggable database name. I have enabled the DB vault. So in this way, we are going to enable the DB vault on our CDB level and pluggable level. So that concludes our session. If it is useful, click a like button or comment it. If you need any more information, any doubts, you can comment in the below post so that I can respond it back. Thank you.